Tonight on Joy News Prime, there's been another attack on a bullion van, this time at Gomwa Ochifreko on the Kaswa Winneba Road. The supposed robbery was however unsuccessful. We have details right here on Joy News Prime. Also in this bulletin, the Ashanti Region Police has launched a manhunt for 4 armed men who attacked the residence of 4 gold dealers.
One has been able to identify anyone. It is early days yet. We will definitely get to that bridge and we will cross it. The man currently we are with him at his house is saying that when he sees, he can identify about 2 or 3 when he sees them. That's what he's telling us.
And tonight we attempt to trace what could be accounting for the current crime wave. In another development, a 42-year-old man, Emeka Adams, has been arrested and charged with the murder of Alice Damte, a 27-year-old teacher who was abandoned in a bush and left to die after being knocked down on the Damte-Dodowa highway. And later in this bulletin, we'll bring you the story of a 12-year-old who has been left paralyzed after being infected with COVID-19 more than a year ago.
Every time we attempted to remove the machine, a child arrested on us. I mean, by arrest, I mean, if we don't put the child back on the machine, the child was going to die. The child spent about 120 days on the ventilator.
And the Business Bank of Ghana begins purchase of gold locally to shore up its reserves.
This event is indeed historic, as it marks the first time the Bank of Ghana is embarking on a domestic gold purchasing to augment our foreign reserves.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle here on your digital terrestrial TV, because we're free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. We are your home of independent, fearless, credible and impactful journalism. Do stay tuned in. Many thanks for choosing us. Let's begin with the bullion van, which was shot at on Thursday afternoon at Gomwa Ochifreko on the Kaswa Winneba Road in what is believed to be an attempted robbery attack. The armed assailants are said to have shot at the front passenger side of the van but missed the police officer who was in the seat. No one was injured. The van was rescued by a patrol team from Winneba. Adom FM's Kofi J joins us with more on this. Kofi, I'm grateful that you joined us. What more can you report on this failed attempted robbery? All right, we'll try and get Kofi back for more on this story. But as you may have followed within the week, there's been one that killed a police officer. Police is already on a manhunt, but this particular one happened on the Kaswa Winneba Road, and that was an attempted robbery attack. The armed assailants are said to have shot at the front passenger side of the van but missed the police officer who was in the seat, and no one was injured, though the van was rescued by a patrol team from Winneba. Kofi J from Adom FM now joins us with more on this. Kofi, I'm asking, what more can you tell us about this field?
Currently, Winneba Divisional Police Command has started the investigation to find out if they can arrest the suspect. But as I explained to you now, these people have run into the nearby bush, because where the incident happened, the start test and that place also bush. So immediately, Winneba patrol team arrived, they ran into the nearby bush. So as I'm speaking to you, the police are saying that if they can get the culprit and arrest them. But the bullion van was coming from Kaswa to Winneba direction, and after reaching that portion of the road, just 500 meters to a second police station. That place is very, very sharp curve, and that place also bushy. So this armed robbers, normally about 6, intentionally put leaves on the road to signal drivers that there might be an accident or something on the road, so they should be slowed down. So this bullion van started slowing down to see if there's a problem ahead of them. Not knowing these people have laid ambush on that section of the road, they started firing live bullets on the car.
Do we know which bank, Kofi, which bank the bullion van belonged to?
Divisional Police Commander, the Winneba Divisional Police Commander, Superintendent Kanta said we should hold on for now due to they are investigating to the matter, so we cannot disclose the bank to us.
The police hasn't told you anything yet about what they've gathered with their investigation?
No. They say that they are still investigating because they might find the culprit inside the bush because that place, it has become initially, armed robbers always come to that section of the road. But they deployed counter-terrorism police officers to that place. But they normally come in the evening around by this time. So they were shot. These people came around 4:35 o'clock thereabout.
Kofi Ejay is with Adom FM. Now, the Ashanti Region Police has launched a manhunt for armed men who attacked the residence of 4 gold dealers and robbed them at Manso Mosikrum in the Amansia South District. In one other incident, a mobile money vendor was robbed of an unspecified amount of money. According to eyewitnesses, the robbers fired several shots as they fled the scene Thursday dawn. One of the victims of the attack, who suffered gunshot wounds, is expected to have his leg amputated. We'll hear from the police shortly, but first, here's a report on the latest incident.
The gunmen robbed 4 gold buyers and a mobile money vendor at gunpoint. A resident told Inshira FM their first victim was compelled to lead them to 3 other gold dealers. 2 of the dealers were shot in the leg. The 2 injured are receiving treatment at St. Martin's Hospital at Agresum.
We heard gunshots between 2 and 3 a.m. They first attacked the gold dealer, Nana Brunya. He was robbed and asked to lead the robbers to other gold dealers at gunpoint. They went to one Daniel and robbed him of his money and gold and then shot him. Another victim, Kwabena Ketwa, was also robbed of his money and gold, and they shot him as well in the leg. A mobile money vendor was also robbed of 12,000 Ghana cedis. One gold buyer was also robbed to the tune of 20,000 cedis. Doctors at St. Martin's Hospital say Daniel's leg will have to be amputated.
The case has since been reported to the Manso Dubia police. The police have confirmed the incident and started investigating. The Manso area is notorious for such incidents. Barely a year ago, about 8 suspected armed robbers shot and killed 3 people at Manso Dadiase after robbing a gold dealer of 4 pounds of gold and cash. The robbers shot indiscriminately as they fled the area. Reporting for Joy News, Obidishio Freyamanfo.
We can now hear from the Amansia South District Commander of the Ghana Police, ASP Felix Akowa, who says they are recreating the crime scene and going after the criminal gang.
Currently doing reconstruction of the scene with my men. We have visited the first victim's place. We have interrogated, and we are now at the second victim's, Anabunya's place. But the information we are gathering is that between 1:30 a.m. and those armed robbers invaded the town. They came to his place, broke into his room, and took away his gold and cash. 2 victims sustained serious injury. One has been referred to Konfanoti Teaching Hospital. The other one, who also sustained serious injury on the left leg. The doctors tried to amputate because it is too bad. But according to them, the parents are saying they will not allow the doctors to amputate. So they have forced the doctors to discharge him against medical advice to be taken to PSG for whatever purpose is left to them.
In terms of identification and arrest, nothing has been done to that level as of now, right?
No one has been able to identify anyone. It is early days yet. We will definitely get to that bridge and we will cross it. The man currently, we are with him at his house, is saying that when he sees, he can identify about 2 or 3 when he sees them. That's what he's telling us.
Let's go to Parliament now, because the much anticipated response of Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to a question on how much President Akufo-Addo's latest foreign trip costs government did not come off in Parliament today. NDC MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, who asked the question, is addressing the issue at a briefing in Parliament House today.
Who is asking Parliament to give him more time, and that is why the table office delisted the question. We in the minority believe that the Honorable Minister responsible for Finance has had ample notice. He has had more than 2 weeks to prepare for this question. The Honorable Minister for Finance cannot also say that he was not available today. As you do know, he was in Parliament today responding to other questions. So it cannot be about clashes with his schedules or he being incapacitated. He was in this House to respond to other questions. He could have also responded to this. Now, we do not know exactly when the question will be scheduled. But what we know for certain is that our resolve to pursue this matter is unwavering. We will continue with dogged determination in the interest of accountability, in the interest of good governance, in the interest of protecting the public purse and protecting scarce national resources in this difficult time of austerity, in the midst of a pandemic which has had debilitating consequences on the economy and on the general well-being of Ghanaians. We will continue to pursue this matter. So we believe that today is a sad day for accountability and for good governance. The Honorable Minister responsible for Finance should have availed himself. If the Defense Ministry within the same period could respond even a day earlier, he had an extra day. It's been more than 2 weeks. We cannot fathom. This is expenditure that has happened already. You have already paid for the private jet. The charter has been paid for. The per diems has been paid for. All the landing rights, the hotel bills, and all the incidental costs, those who traveled commercial, and all of those incidentals have already been paid for. And the whole Finance Ministry is telling Parliament that having had notice since the 1st of June, today is the 17th of June, we are being told that they need more time. We will hold ourselves in readiness, and we are hoping that in the business statement that will be presented to the House tomorrow, probably it will be listed for next week, sometime next week. We cannot tell for now because my enquiries could not provide any definite response. We are told that the Finance Minister is only asking for more time. But as to how much time he needs, Parliament does not know at this point. And we will only continue to ask the questions and do our work as an oversight body. We are doing this work because it is our constitutional mandate and because the people of this country expect of us to carry out our oversight fearlessly and diligently. And so we will continue to carry out that mandate. Yeah.
What extent is the interest that you
yeah. So yesterday we established that the presidential jet, the Falcon 900 EXE, is in pristine condition, is in great condition, and it was available for the president to use to France. It could have flown directly to France. So we have established that. Now we want to establish the cost. We know some of the cost as we have put out, which is cost derived from our communication with Acropolis Aviation on the charter. But there are so many other incidentals. Landing costs, the layovers, the ferry periods that we did not capture, per diems, the new revelation that even beyond this charter, there were others who flew commercial, and all of that. So all those related incidentals is what we need. Remember that fundamentally we are making the point that the president did not exercise prudence, financial prudence, in his travel arrangements. And germane to that point is the cost. Parliament deserves to know. Remember that in approving the 2020 budget, we had raised concerns earlier about the 2019 cost of presidential travels, you recall. And we asked for details, and it emerged that between January and September of 2019, the president had spent about 62.5 million cedis on presidential travels. At the time, we cautioned, and we said that that must not happen again. And that's why we have been monitoring. But it appears that the president is even incurring more cost because the nature of private jets, the ACJ 320 Neo, which he leased this time, he has never leased this level of sophistication. This is the pinnacle of luxury, as you have all researched and found out. It's called the penthouse in the skies. Yesterday we were told by the defense minister the additional, luxurious advantages of that particular ACJ 320 Neo. So this is about financial accountability. This is about financial prudence. This is about national priorities. This is about protecting the public purse, which the president himself pledged that he will do. So it's curious. It's very curious that on a matter like this, remember since we raised it, since my first publication, government has just stayed away. You in the media have complained about how difficult it has been for you to get a response from government. Now we've brought them to the more appropriate forum where they are constitutionally bound to be accountable. And there's all of these delay tactics. It must strike you as very strange because really, what do they have to hide? If you don't have anything to hide, if you have acted above board, if you are not trying to buy time, for whatever reason, I don't want to be accused of being, if you like, putting the cart before the horse or engaging in prejudicial commentary. But clearly, this is worrying. This is worrying. And it appears that it's as though something is happening behind the scenes, and they need time to complete whatever they are doing. You don't get a good sense. This, as I keep saying, is a sad day for accountability and for good governance.
That was ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament, Okujeto Ablakwa, talking about the presidential travels, the controversies that has ensued. Now, an unlicensed driver, Emeka Adams, 42, has been arrested and charged with the murder of Alice Damte, a 27-year-old teacher who was abandoned in a bush and left to die after being knocked down on the Damte Dodowa Highway. The suspect, who was driving a Hyundai Sonata with registration number GB262120, is said to have picked up the teacher at the youngster's school at Damte on the pretext of sending her to hospital, only to dump her in a bush at Abokobi. The accident occurred at the Damte Dodowa traffic intersection, which occurred on the 7th June at about 7 p.m. and spawned a social media campaign dubbed Justice for Alice. Accra Region Police PRO DSP Fiatenge joins us with more on this. DSP, I'm grateful for your time. How did the police connect the suspect, Emeka Adams, to the crime?
All right, thank you very much, Alice. As you have earlier indicated, this incident, very unfortunate incident, happened on the 7th of this month. And so, according to eyewitnesses, the suspect, whom we now have in our custody, that is Emeka Adams, immediately the accident occurred, that is after he had knocked down the lady who is the teacher. He picked the lady as though he was going to send him to the hospital for attention. And so it was the next day that police got information that a lady had been found dead in an area within Abokobi. And so the police followed up, and through our investigations, we got to know that the lady was the one who was hit on the day of the incident. And through police's painstaking investigation, together with the surveillance cameras we have on that section, the police came by the very vehicle that knocked down the lady. And so we followed up to the DVLA, where we got the owner of the vehicle. And luckily, we got a woman. Actually, the vehicle was licensed. And the name of a woman who happens to be the wife of the Emeka Adams, the suspect we have now.
Okay.
And on the day of the incident, he was the one driving the car.
Wow.
And so he has even confessed to the crime. And unfortunately, the woman has passed on. And so, for now, looking at what we have before us and the evidence the police has gathered so far, the police is not considering any offense for him now than the offense of a murder. And so we have already started processing him. And we hope, because he was even arrested today, so we hope to put him before the law court for the law to take its course.
How soon?
Oh, that will be as soon as possible. He was only arrested today. And so we'll take him through the due procedures to make sure that as soon as possible he's put before the law court.
I'm grateful for your time. DSP Efiatenge is the Accra Region Police PRO. At that time, the country's COVID-19 cases peaked in Ghana. Joy News brought to you a number of stories about persons who had succumbed to the virus or put up a spirited fight against all odds. Most of these stories were about adults. Today, we will tell you the story of 12-year-old Georgina Lampt. She has been left with severe complications and is still on admission at the Adan Government Hospital after being infected more than a year ago. Benesa Bubeido Lansa has more.
The COVID-19 virus sneaked into Georgina's system and almost robbed her of everything, her speech and the use of her legs. Her family is not sure where she may have picked it from. She's intelligent and strong-willed, her mother says. Perhaps it's that inner strength that has kept her alive. More than a year after contracting the virus, she's still on admission at the Adan Government Hospital. Georgina is frail and her eyes look like she's got a lot to say, especially about how she spent about 4 months on a ventilator at the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit, PQ, of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Her mother tells us about the complaint that has turned out to be the family's worst nightmare.
My daughter complained of pain in her leg when she returned from school. From there, she couldn't walk again. So I brought her here to the Adan Hospital and we were transferred to Kolebu. We found out there that she had been infected with a virus.
I meet Dr. Owusu Setre, head of the PQ at Kolebu. He takes me to the ward where Georgina stayed.
One of the feared complications is that sometimes the paralysis can affect the muscles that help you to breathe. And in her case, it did. So initially we had to intubate her, put her on the machine. And when the test result of COVID came in, we had to send her to UGMC. So it was at UGMC, recovered. We were able to pull the tube out. She was able to breathe. And then they referred the child back to us. And then with physiotherapy and the child was able to go home. Then the child worsened and then came back. So when the child came back and we put her back on the machine, every time we attempted to remove the machine, the child arrested on us. I mean, by arrest, I mean, if we don't put the child back on the machine, the child was going to die. And this went on for a period. The child spent about 120 days on the ventilator. Eventually, we had to make a hole here and then put a tube so that the child could breathe through.
Keeping her on life support for that long was an act of sheer generosity. Georgina's 82,000 cedi bill is still outstanding. She had become family and the nurses and doctors just couldn't pull the plugs on her. Georgina's health has been greatly impacted. Her family is staying strong for her, but the incident has also taken a huge emotional and financial toll on them.
Things are difficult for the family. What to eat is even a problem.
The doctors and nurses have really supported us. Georgina's twin brother and other sibling have stopped going to school.
There's no money. I'm a widow and an orphan. I have no siblings. I'm all they have. And I'm unable to do my usual petty trading because I have to be here for her. Doctors say she may recover fully, though slowly, and be able to return to school. She was in class 5 when the sickness struck. My daughter is strong-willed and hardworking. She and her brother always received compliments from their teachers. They have always asked me to pray for them so they would finish school and take care of me.
Detecting COVID-19 can be very tricky even to the trained eye. The global medical community is still working hard to understand the virus, especially how it presents among children.
The first child that we diagnosed in this unit of COVID-19 was on this one with an intubation and a ventilator on. Unfortunately, we lost that child. This child was about 8-9 years, and it happened around the time that we were on lockdown. And they were observing all the protocols according to parents. This child presented with what we call rabies-like syndrome, like when a dog with rabies bites somebody, the way they behave, aggressive, spitting at each other, trying to attack us and everything. And parents were so sure that this child had not gone out to be bitten by a dog. They didn't have a dog in their house, and yet that child was exhibiting those symptoms. Something very baffling. So we decided, okay, there's a new kid on the block, why don't we investigate for coronavirus infection? And voila, when the results came, it was COVID. Those that come in with severe conditions, some of them come in fact, most of them come with what we call the neurological deficit or manifestation, brain things.
While Georgina's family waits for a miracle, the WHO has warned of a possible third wave in Ghana. Health officials are racing against time to stay on schedule with vaccinations. The scary multiple waves of this pandemic continue to traverse borders. Everyone is at risk.
Babies lost, children left with physical disabilities for life, all because they contracted the deadly coronavirus. We can't say this enough. Please, try your best. Stay safe, observe the protocols, and that's how you can stay alive in this season.
For Joy News.
Let's get more on this. We've been joined by virologist at the University of Ghana Medical School, Reverend Professor Sego. I'm grateful for your time, Prof. Why would a virus known to largely cause flu-like symptoms and at worst breathing difficulties create such complication for this young girl?
Thank you and good evening. Sorry for my technical issues with my video. Yes. Can you hear me? Hello?
Prof, we can hear you, yes.
Okay. So the thing is that normally if when you get a viral infection, you're a target organ. So the idea is that the virus, when the virus enters your body, it normally has a specific organ it wants to race for so that it will destroy. And that's where the changes occur, or that's where the disease occurs. Technically, they will say pathological changes occur. So most viruses, some viruses can have multiple organs that they can affect. But there are also viruses that will normally have common organs that they affect, but will have the capability of also moving out to other organs to cause disease. A typical example, which is SARS-like, is mumps virus. Mumps virus will normally affect glandular tissue, but can also find its way into your nervous system. So it's not strange that you can have viruses going across barriers into organs that they don't normally find themselves in to cause disease. Again, sometimes it is actually the effect of the infection. So it may not be the virus itself, but the actual effects of the infection that may actually cause that condition in an individual. So, for example, I checked when you called, and I found out that, look, there's been a case which has been recorded of a metabolic stroke-like episode, which is like some sort of stroke-like things in condition in children that is caused because of metabolic deficiencies that has occurred in a SARS-CoV-2 infected patient. These may be very rare things that may happen, and sometimes maybe because the child itself is predisposed to a condition. It probably was an underlying condition that existed that was not known. And because of the infection or the inflammation, it may have pushed it to where it is now.
Are we then correct to still stand by the assertion that COVID-19 doesn't really cause harm to children?
I think so. I think that there is no overwhelming evidence, at least as far as I'm concerned. I know in the US they said cases may have risen in children, but of course if you are vaccinating adults, it may push it to the rate of children. So it's not. I still think that we don't have any cause. I haven't seen any evidence yet to show that we have any cause for alarm. But if we want to be scientific about it, maybe what we can do is just to go to a pediatric center and probably take X-rays or CT scans of children over a period, just to see whether we have what we can see on the ground as a baseline, to see whether we have any conditions in children. But I've also heard that some of the conditions presenting in children for SARS are very unspecific. Like you're saying, it may be respiratory, but it may be causing other unspecific reactions. So it may be a tall order, but I don't think there's any evidence yet. I haven't seen any evidence yet suggesting that it's currently a big problem in children. This may be an isolated case, just like the one I saw earlier on the metabolic stroke-like symptoms. It may be an isolated case because the child itself may have some predisposing conditions already.
I'm grateful for your time. Reverend Professor Kwame Nsegu is a virologist at the University of Ghana Medical School. Still to come in this bulletin. We take a break, and when business comes in, Bank of Ghana begins purchase of gold locally to shore up its reserves.
The story, as it marks the first time the Bank of Ghana is embarking on the domestic gold purchasing to augment our foreign reserves.
Yeah, welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aiche. The Bank of Ghana has started buying gold locally to help shore up its reserves held in the precious metal. At a program to formally outdoor the initiative, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Anderson, noted that the move will go a long way to stabilize the city.
During the era of the gold standard, currency issued by central banks had to be fully backed by gold, measured in troy ounces at the time. This gold standard measure of assessing the strength of currencies was later abandoned at the turn of the 20th century, when economies began printing currencies without the backing of gold. Since this transition, currencies have been backed by a variety of instruments, including gold, government bills and stocks, and first-class bills of exchange. In fact, when Ghana issued its jurisdictional currency in 1958, the original currency cover assets for the currency included gold, as well as sterling and call money in the United Kingdom, as well as British Treasury bills with maturities not exceeding 3 months, among others. The history of monetary management has revealed that while gold
in the reserve cover mix was not given much weight. The managers of the economy during the 1960-61 financial year took a bold decision to increase the amount of gold to be held in the cover asset mix for the cedi.
The Minister for Railways Development, John Peter Amewu, has called for public support to protect railway assets from destruction and theft. According to him, there has been a rise in theft of rail assets in recent times, a situation which is costing the nation millions of cedis. Mr. Amewu believes that this will undermine the efforts of government in reviving the sector.
As the country moves towards standard gauge lanes for its railway projects, there are still efforts by the government to protect the old ones. This will facilitate the hauling of some commodities from farmlands to the ports and factory. The tour by the Minister for Railways, John Peter Amewu, was aimed at engaging workers on the field and to get first-hand information about some of the projects like the Kujo Chrome to Takwa and other parts of the country. According to him, the destruction and theft of railway scraps and other materials along the old lines pose a threat to the country.
Well, my concern has been addressed yesterday with the chief, is to see how we can work in collaborations with the authorities, and also the railway companies. Where some of this line passes through, I don't know. The MD of railway company know, the workers know. And so it is very difficult for somebody to wake up from my village in Hwehwe constituency and jump onto a railway line without knowing where the lines are. So again, I want to say that there are some insiders. Okay, I'm not saying the MD is necessarily doing that, but there are insiders that are supporting this. So we are also appealing to them to help us to make sure that we can tell this practice. These few days becoming so rampant, and also because of the steel price, reinforcement is going up. The price has doubled over the period. So, they are looking for scraps, and we need to stop that.
Welcoming the minister to the location workshop in Takoradi, General Secretary of the Railway Workers Union, Godwill Intama, appealed to the minister to improve collaboration with the security agencies to arrest and prosecute perpetrators.
I have always said, and I will maintain it, that the assets belong to the state. If you are a railway worker and you steal and we catch you, we deal with you just like any outsider. But the bigger issue is that these scrap dealers are behind all this, and the lines. The last month, I did a reportage on steel slippers being taken from the operational lines, which is very dangerous. If such a thing happens and there's a train coming with full speed, it can derail. And you know what? If it derails, what will happen? So let's not look at the individual stealing and that sort of thing. I agree with you. They should be punished if anybody is caught. But then the larger picture of people cutting scraps here and there. Last week in Kumasi, we all saw what happened. It's so bad. The thing is for the state. Let's all, with the security agencies and everybody, join forces and make sure we protect the rail line.
The 22-kilometer new railway line is expected to be completed in March 2022.
Now, lottery company 787 has announced a special Friday draw where 5 lucky participants stand a chance of winning 1,000 cedis each Friday. This follows the latest draw, which saw one Vivian Ameko from the Volta region win 20,000 cedis in cash prize. There is more in this report.
At the announcement of this new draw, Vivian Ameko, the winner from Agbozume Volta region, received 20,000 cedis cash prize. The prize, she says, will be of greater good to her business life. She expressed her joy to Joy Business.
Oh, I feel very happy and excited to get this money. To tell them that they should keep on playing the game. One day they will also win it. It is real. So I want to thank them that they have changed my life.
The head of customer experience, Richard Akotobanfo, at the event announced *787# guarantees an extra 1,000 cedis win for 5 lucky players at a purchase of tickets before 12 midnight every Friday.
Beginning of this year, *787# came to your doorstep with a special draw on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday where you win 200 Ghana cedis. This Friday, you stand a chance to win 1,000 Ghana cedis with only 15 Ghana cedis tickets. All you have to do is to load your mobile wallet and dial dial star 787 hash to purchase your ticket. Your life can change in just a twinkle. With that aside, this very Saturday, we are looking at a jackpot value of 242,000 Ghana cedis and a unique prize of 20,000 Ghana cedis. My friend, this can be your life-changing moment. All you need to do, like I said earlier, load your mobile wallet and then dial star 787 hash and then get your ticket now. Don't lose this moment. It's a life-changing opportunity, and this can be the chance for you.
Well, anyway, that's how we end business.
And it's time for showbiz. Becky is here. Baby.
Hey, hi, how you doing?
I'm good, honey.
Let's start with Jesus. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
The Spirit. Asafoe is legendary indigenous gospel musician, and his hit song "Wohaw Ne Seng." I'm sure a lot of people are asking, what inspired the song?
The song.
So on
E-Vibes,
E-Vibes. Yeah, it's actually at the part 1. We have a part 2 coming up this weekend, so you guys have to stay tuned in
and complete the movie.
Yes, please. So here is Asafoe explaining to us exactly what inspired the song "Wohaw Ne Seng Na Usui."
What I believe is that my talent, I know the talent is coming from God, because sometimes I can feel some song in my head, singing in my head, so I begin to write it and then I polish it. One of the songs is Odifo Sunday Takase. Wohaw Ne Seng. Yeah, this is the place where I compose the song, the place we are going.
Okay.
Because of the music, I used to sing in so many churches. That's the reason why I entered to this place, because and this place is a prayer ground. So everybody comes and pray here. We call it Amangwase Mpaibo.
Okay.
So we come to pray here. That's the reason why. So this is the place where I got Wohaw Ne Seng.
Wohaw Ne Seng.
Yeah.
Wow. The reason why, so the tomb there is Odifo Sunday.
Yeah, the tomb there is Odifo Sunday. That's the place where we bow him. Odifo Sunday Takase.
Wohaw Ne Seng Na Usui. Wamani Ne Seng, Wamani Ne Seng Na Usui.
Oh God. I just wish, Aisha, that the young ones will emulate, these legends.
Yeah.
This song was sung like over 40 years ago.
Yeah, and
was still
when you listen to it, it still sends that kind of like it did to you right now.
I don't know if I can continue, but I'll try and continue. Let's talk about Kwame Eugene.
Talk about him again.
Yeah, he said that he's planning or what he's concentrating on now is leaving a very good legacy.
Okay.
There are other things that everybody's talking about or whatever it is.
What has become of his case with the other guy?
Exactly. He didn't want to talk.
He really doesn't mind.
No, he doesn't want to talk about it.
That will not make him lose focus.
No. Okay. He's still the Kwame Eugene he is.
Just love to talk about me. Yeah, people just love to talk about me.
Why do you think so?
Because, if you have top of mind awareness, a lot of people want to, associate themselves with you in a good way or in a bad way, because either ways, they're going to get the buzz. You get it? Wake up this morning and say, Kwame Eugene gave me a dirty slap. You get people talk about it. Wakobo Biasum. Hey, Wakobo Biasum. Without listening to my side of the story, because it is the Kwame Eugene. I have to bless God for it, because I say to myself all the time that I need to accept every good part of whatever is happening to me now, and let the bad side go, because in some years to come, some 20, 30 years to come, I'll grow, I'll probably have kids, have a beautiful family. I'll be taking care of my daughter, my mom will be super old, and I will center all my loudness and the pressure and the whole Kwame Eugene buzz to family work. And I'll probably not get everybody to talk about me like this, and I'll probably miss it. So if I have it now, I have to give glory to God and enjoy it till it's no more. That's it. So I'm good.
In 20 years' time, if you don't have this relevance, if Kwame Eugene is not Kwame Eugene, the music is not really going the way you expect it to go, how would you feel?
I'll feel good because I'll be a legend. I'm still the rock star, man. I mean, Ghana will never get another Kwame Eugene. Hey, see, like the way we've never gotten another Daddy Lumba, another Match the Day, another Kojuenchi, another Dada K.
Personality
OPM personality.
Thank you so much, beautiful.
Thank you.
And that'll be it for Showbiz. Welcome back to Joining Prime. To the rest of our stories, there's an emerging school of thought that the recent surge in violent crimes in parts of the country could be attributed to the many unemployed youth who were rendered jobless in the crackdown on illegal mining. Analysts believe such galamseyers who have been exposed to the use of weapons are engaging in the crimes that we're seeing. And they've been exposed to weapons. Tonight on Joy News Prime, we assess the credibility of the theory and the plans government have for the hundreds or thousands of youth who have been put out of work since government's fight against galamsey without adequate measures to get them into meaningful employment. To help us with this conversation, we've been joined by security analyst Dr. Ishmael Norman. I'm grateful for your time, sir. We're scheduled to be joined by the Deputy Lands and Natural Resources Minister, George Miracle Duka, but unfortunately he's unable to join right now. We'll try and get him to join this conversation and tell us what government is doing about this phenomenon. So let's speak with Dr. Ishmael Norman. First of all, Doc, do you agree there's been a surge in violent crimes?
No.
Hello? Do we have Dr. Ishmael Norman? Doc, I'm asking if you first of all agree there's been a surge in violent crimes.
Aisha.
Yes, Dr. Norman.
Part of the reasons why violent crime is on the rise is because we have a lot of young adults who have absolutely nothing to do, and they need to make a living. They don't have jobs. Some of these people have finished senior and secondary school education. Some of them have finished university. So this is part of the unintended consequences. They themselves may not be the perpetrators or the actors in the field committing the crimes, but they can build a posse or a gang that they can direct, go out there, buy them guns because they look respectable, and then get their posse to go out there and target specific institutions and rob them. Now that they are doing bullion ban, we should actually be a little bit grateful because they are targeting institutions, places where they can get bulk sums of money. When they stop targeting bullion vans, they will move into banks, actual physical banks. We have noticed that they are not afraid of going without face mask, without any disguise, and committing the act. Because when people are traumatized, they don't remember the faces of the perpetrators. So the shock of being traumatized, killing people in front of other people, traumatizes all the eyewitnesses around, and they can't even identify the person who just killed someone. So we have to be very, very careful. Government has a big role to play, providing opportunities and jobs. And banks have big role to play. If Google inventors were Ghanaians, they would never have seen the light of day. And Facebook and YouTube, never, because the banks will not finance them. And these people started with absolutely nothing, but people with money, venture capitalists, private investors, banks supported them. That is why they have become world-class institutions. And we don't have that spirit of entrepreneurism in Ghana. Even though we talk the talk, we don't do the walk. And so I think it's not only the responsibility of government, but also the banks, the universities, and the schools. They have to also train the students to do jobs that they can really do, give them skills, not just theory, and they finish and they cannot apply any of the theories because it's too poor and bad. So the population, the people in the community, our mothers and fathers, it's okay to have children to glorify God, to make yourself, to replicate yourself. But why do you have to have so many children? What are you trying to prove? We have to have the children that we can really fully cater for. I think we have to tackle the issue of childbirth, not multiple children, multiple wives, multiple children in many homes. We have to tackle the issue of birth control, population control very, very seriously. So there are a lot of issues that are involved in why they are committing crimes. But the most important issue is that they want money in their pocket.
But how plausible, Doc, how plausible is this link between, the link being drawn between the recent crime wave and the Galamsey crackdown?
Well, we are putting a lot of pressure to stop the Galamsey. These are people, some of them are already exposed to lead poisoning, mercury poisoning, cyanide. These are people who are not afraid to die. You have to remember that there are a lot of young people in this country, sometimes as old as 8 years old, who know how to prime explosives, cyanide, and blow things up, TNT. So these are people who go underground deep into the earth to burrow for gold. They are not afraid to die. That is why we've seen the uptick of crime, because we are pushing them away from that which sustained them. Now they have nothing. And what they fall on is their bold, ghastly behavior and conduct, and propelled by tramadol and other kinds of drugs, as Professor Amin of Kofi Annan Center said a few days ago in another interview. So there is a direct connection to everything, the unintended consequences of government policy. And so I have suggested that it will be a good idea for government to also do the analysis. If we stop this, what will happen? And if you know what will happen, then you can plan, this is what we're going to offer as an alternative, so as to not to get to the unthinkable. And we are in a space of unthinkable events happening. We never thought that bullion vans would be attacked in broad daylight, and they are happening. We never thought people would be attacked in broad daylight, and they are happening. So we are not thinking seriously about the unthinkable. If we stop this activity, what will happen? If you educate so many people, what will happen? These are all important variables for us to consider with respect to 45% of the population that are the youth.
In the interim, though, Doc, what can be done to reintegrate these people back into society in terms of job creation and sustainability?
It will start from the community. Every community, we at least by the makeup of our government, every community has DC, MCA. There should be serious mapping of the unemployed in that community, and there should be job matching and placement, apprenticeship, and all of that. The DC should become more scientific, not there to collect their salaries and drive in big government issue vehicles, but they should work, and the MCE should work. I'm not asking central government to do this job. It can be done in a community level. And as we are collecting data on census, we can also do the same thing. Collect the number of people who are unemployed in every community, collect the number of people who have jobs availability, and match them accordingly. And those who have no skills, how we can train them. This is all doable, but it takes political will, not at the national level, but at the community level, at the municipal level. It can be done. We can break the cycle of violence and also give meaning, a substance to the young people within these respective districts.
I'm grateful for your time, Dr. Ishmael Norman. He's the president of the Institute for Security, Disaster and Emergency Studies. And as I indicated earlier, George Merekuduka was supposed to join this conversation, but he's unable to join now. But hopefully government will do something about the surge in crimes, which has been linked to the youth not having enough job to do. Now, Ghanaians at the border town of Paga in the Upper East region want government to intensify security in that area, following a police wireless message warning of possible attacks by Burkina Bay bandits. The wireless message circulated 2 days ago indicates the bandits are suspected to be in possession of military-grade weapons and they have already infiltrated some yet to be identified areas and planning an attack. But East Regional Minister Stephen Yakubu says, though the security agencies are on high alert, residents should report any suspicious characters in their communities. But the Paga residents, where the Ghana-Burkina Faso border is located, say they are terrified and want soldiers to be deployed there. Joy News correspondent Albert Sori visited the border town and now reports.
2 days ago, the Ghana Police Service circulated a wireless message warning that there could be possible attacks on Ghanaians by suspected Burkina Bay bandits. The news has created a bit of apprehension among Ghanaians. This morning, we are here in the border town of Paga, here in the Kasina-Nankana West District of the Upper East region, to talk to Ghanaians who live in this part of the country where we have the Ghana-Burkina Faso border, to try and find out from them how they feel after hearing this news.
Actually, before hearing that they are most likely to come to Ghana, especially Paga or Bolga, we saw some videos circulating, seeing people running helter-skelter in Burkina, over thousands of people running with children and women. Then later on, we saw other videos, people slaughtering other human beings. After that, we heard the information that they'll be coming to Ghana. But one of the fears is that there was a time armed robbers came to border. It's a security zone, but they did what they wanted to do and escaped freely. Nobody had them. Then about a week ago, armed robbers came to attack a mobile money vendor and killed somebody, shot the fellow in the head. Nobody was able to trace them. So mostly we count on the security, but in times of these difficulties, they are not always available to trace these perpetrators.
When I heard of it, I was very worried. In fact, this is because I heard of what happened in Burkina Faso last week, where about 160 people were killed in the northern part of that country. So I was very, very worried when I heard the news.
Even we are scared with armed robbers. Recently, you heard they came and attacked one of our brother. So we don't know whether it is some of them or not. So nobody can identify any stranger. We have strangers in our town. They are friends. Some of them are friends from houses staying. So you can't know whether he's some of them or not.
In fact, when we heard the news the day before yesterday, we were all sad. We are not safe too. This is a border town.
A 56-year-old man has been burnt to death in a midnight fire that gutted 10 rooms of a story building at Asafoe in Kumasi. Samuel Kwejofojo was heard by neighbors calling for help in the midst of the inferno, suspected to have started from his room on the top floor. 9 other tenants, including aged women, have been displaced. Erastus Asaridonko has more.
So about 10 bedrooms have been ravaged by the fire which started midnight today. We do understand that it has consumed a 56-year-old man. He's popularly called Ofche, but then his real name is Kwejofojo Samuel. Now, this is where we are told the body was found, where I'm standing exactly, and he was totally bent with half of his body bent to ashes when the police came in to pick him up. This is his bedroom. Let me speak with this gentleman who saw or witnessed the fire during the midnight era. Bachelor Frosting,
If some Cosiminta.
Diana Hui.
Oh, and I do the one it is a Motiatium. Say if you have for on all the kind friend, sister, you are Shanasiano. So, a gesture to Yamuano. Son of sister kind. And in the year, I know, didn't know your buy. Not just a honey, I will see. And the Hannah, a general. And you know, for so I break key, so you do it. And to break into Nana, fire and spread it. Not just at that time, so near fair fire, there almost by 40 minutes. No more mind. And to buy, not just we be no ya.
So what he's telling me is that around midnight, people in the house, the tenants, started calling out to them that the man upstairs, Kojo Fojo, was crying for help, that he was burning, and people should come to his aid. So by the time they got up here, there was smoke everywhere. The fire was licked at that particular time, and so they forced this door open, and that was when air entered the room and the fire got out of hand. The body in the net say.
I say, you did go sack him. I was in some union, and I'm in Union. I need to call Confanoch.
Well, he says that the body they found was bent totally. Some of his body parts were totally bent beyond recognition. Sana wunim no, wunim the same.
Menene koba. Se ni bra bi wa we da amukwa ibu ha me na mo bi sana se free no. Menene eno nyumre no kra no. Menene titi mu aran be 8:30. Nyumre bia menene pie koba.
9 other tenants, mostly aged women who managed to flee the area, are now displaced. This old woman has nowhere to stay now.
He was screaming for help, but unfortunately he was not able to escape the fire. For now, we are homeless, but we are looking up to God.
One tenant who managed to salvage a few belongings is seen loading them to safety.
So it is not clear what caused this fire, but it has claimed the life of somebody who is loved in this community. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
Public officers and other officials who receive requests under the RTI law are being urged to desist from charging unreasonable fees. The RTI law was passed in 2019, but close to 2 years after that, the law is yet to see the passage of a legislative instrument to ensure its optimum implementation. Although there have been major bottlenecks, including delays in assessing requested information and fees being charged for the requests made, tonight public office holders are being challenged to charge fees commensurate with information requested, even as the RTI Commission works to get Parliament to pass an LI to guide the implementation of the law. Manuel Kranting was at the Media Foundation for West Africa's launch of an RTI manual, and our reports.
Essentially summarizes, the different areas of the RTI law, and we thought that it should provide some quick tips on the law for journalists. We know that sometimes we are very busy, and so when you pick the manual, it tells you what
Program Manager at the Media Foundation for West Africa, Abigail Labi Odey, detailing the content of the newly launched RTI manual. The law was passed in 2019 after spending more than a decade in Parliament as a draft bill. Its implementation in the past 2 years has been countered by the sometimes vicious pushback by state officials. Lawyer and reigning journalist of the year, Samson Lade Anyanini, speaks of varied levels of bottlenecks, including delay in producing requested information and high cost of processing fees.
Tell the public institutions that will be processing the information that the fee that you are supposed to take must be fee for the reproduction. So if you are asking me that the information you are going to give to me, you need a pen drive. The question is, how much is the pen drive? If the information you are going to give me, you are going to put it on a CD, okay? Question is, how much is the CD? It must not cost beyond that. If the information you are going to give me, you are going to photocopy it. Question is, how much is the photocopy? And I'm reliably informed that what the Commission has worked on for the purposes of Parliament to become the fees that will be used will show that it is reflective of the law.
This is in part due to the non-existence of a legislative instrument to guide the smooth implementation of the law. More so, Parliament is yet to pass the Fees and Charges Act to empower the RTI Commission to regulate levying within the context of the law.
The Ghana Journalists Association has presented a VW Salon vehicle to host of Newsfile Samson Ladi Anyanini for winning the Best Journalist of the Year 2019. Staff and management of multimedia, together with the Information Minister, Kojo Nkrumah, handed over the vehicle to Samson at a short ceremony. Mr. Ladi, speaking shortly after the event, vowed to pursue credible, independence and fearless journalism to positively impact lives.
The short ceremony to hand over the brand new VW Salon vehicle to host of Newsfile was witnessed by some staff and management of the multimedia group, the Minister of Information, Kojo Nkrumah, and national executives of the Ghana Journalists Association. The locally manufactured vehicle, according to the Information Minister, was sponsored by the Office of the President. Samson Ladi Anyanini, speaking shortly after the handing over ceremony, said he will continue to uphold the tenets of good journalism.
My expectation was that there was going to be a presentation of a laptop or something like that. I had no expectation of a vehicle. So it's yet another surprise, and I am very thankful to the awards committee, to the GJA, and ultimately to the minister, to the president for the decision to donate this car for this purpose. Thank you all, and I want to commit that I'll continue to make myself available to champion credible and fearless journalism.
President of the Ghana Journalists Association, Asafoe, speaking at the event, observed that the selection of Samson Ladi as the best journalist of 2019 did not come with the usual controversy associated with the ultimate winner of the awards. Mr. Boni said this is an indication of Samson Ladi Anyanini's professionalism.
It is true that many Ghanaians are incurably MPP. Some are intractably NDC. In between the two sides are relatively few journalists with independent streak and objective bent. And these are the qualities Samson represents. Samson in the Bible simply means superhuman strength. So we need more Samsons in the media space. Not necessarily with physical strength, but the strength of objectivity and independence, so that they can do their work as fearless and as professional as possible. We also know that the selection of the best journalists is most often enveloped in controversy. But in the case of Samson, there was no controversy at all. And this is a colossal testament of the quality of journalist he is.
Chief Human Resource Manager of the Multimedia Group, Nana Helegbe, charged multimedia journalists to always aim at impactful journalism.
For us, it is a thing of pride that one of our own, from our own stables, won the Journalist of the Year award. So we are very proud of him. Not only of him, but of all the others, the 14 other award winners. And would like to say that it bears testament to the quality of journalists, to the quality of team members that we have, and to the quality of the work that we churn out at the multimedia group. For me, it is a pointer and a sign that hard work always pays off. You can never get it wrong, and you can never go wrong with hard work. You may be working hard in your corner. You may not have been seen or recognized yet, but don't give up. Keep up the good work, keep on working hard, and eventually it will pay off.
For Joy News, I'm Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
Congratulations one more time to Samson Ladanyonene. Now, for years now, the Ghana Armed Forces has been left with no other choice than to rent furniture annually for candidates who took the promotional exam due to lack of logistics. This bedding is what plastic manufacturing company Miniplast sought to change. The force has today received logistics worth over 150,000 Ghana cedis from the company to help ease the burden on authorities. Judith Awoche Tando was at the event and has more in the following report.
The Ghana Armed Forces for some years now has struggled with enough logistics for candidates who sit for their professional examinations. Although they had received some help over the years, it was inadequate. Brigadier Mpofutichi explains the plight of the armed forces.
The annual routine of officers writing promotion examination, coupled with the ever-increasing number of candidates year in and year out, presents some logistics challenges. One of these logistic challenges is the provision of adequate furniture for the candidates who write these exams. The Department of Training hitherto had been borrowing furniture from different sources, especially our training institutions, each year for the exams.
The armed forces decided to purchase some furniture from plastic manufacturing company Miniplast. However, the company decided to supply them for free. Nadim Ghanem is Deputy Managing Director of Miniplast.
They came to buy their own furniture, and of course they didn't have the full budget, but we decided to give them everything they needed. Even they wanted to buy it in different steps, we decided to give them all at once, and so that they refurbish all their training center and examinations place. So we are Miniplast. We are a plastic manufacturing company. We manufacture the chairs you have seen on the pictures, tables, and other industrial packaging products, and giving the armed forces is an honor for us, and we are with great joy that after all the hard work that they do protecting the nation and making us live in peace and sleep well, it is the least we could do to the armed forces.
Chief of Staff of the General Headquarters, Major General Nicholas Peter Ando, further highlighted the importance of the exam and why the need for logistics.
The promotion exam is conducted annually to test the level of competence of officers, lieutenants and captains, and there are other ways of assessing officers beyond the rank of colonel, major, lieutenant colonel and above. So the promotion exam is a way of encouraging the officers to learn, understand the intricacies of the military profession and how the military profession relates to the rest of the community. This gesture just reinforces the conduct of the exam to make sure that everything is well.
The Ghana Armed Forces expressed their gratitude to Miniplast and promised to reciprocate their gesture of friendship. Judith Awotretando, Joy News.
We'll take a break on Joy News Prime. We'll return with Business Part 2 with Charles Aite.
Yeah, welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aite. The effects of COVID-19 has not only boosted digital payment, but also online shopping. Now, many more people feel comfortable transacting business from their homes, offices, or leisure centers. One of such companies is in promoting e-commerce and ready to support government's digital agenda is Sterman, which is making it easy for consumers to shop online. We have more on them in this report.
Despite the negative impact of COVID-19 on global economies, the information, communications and technology sub-sector grew strongly because of its seamless transactions, where one can undertake transactions anywhere, anytime and any day. Here is Executive Vice President of Stemman Group, Nana Obing-Brinchi.
Our main focus was to see how we can contribute our quota to expand opportunities for the Ghanaian. And so when you look at the very nature of e-commerce, it creates great opportunities for a lot of vendors, traders. And it also sort of facilitates and greases the economy with a lot of economic activities. We also believe in the digital evolution. And I know the governments have been championing the digital evolution, and we thought that e-commerce also contributes its part to that. Now, on the operational side, we've surfed through the market and we realized that there are still gaps when it comes to offering that kind of customer satisfaction when it comes in the area of e-commerce delivery. And that is one thing that we thought that if we could come in and contribute our quota to augment what current players are doing, we could help shape that particular niche of trading. And so that those are the motivations that we had in having to think through it in order to come up with what we came.
It's the habit of undertaking e-commerce as a secured form of transaction.
We also believe that Ghana being the gateway to the entire African continent, we have a strategic focus on penetrating every African country that is ready to accept us. And we've set in our strides in the next 5 years to be in about 20 African locations. And our platform is that nimble and flexible enough for us to scale that quickly. And so that is in our medium term, the next 5 years project, to at least be in about 20 African countries. And we really want to achieve that by the grace of God, and it's going to be done. Our CEO and chairman of our board is very, very committed to this, and we hope by the grace of God we should be able to. So we have a
Ghana performed poorly in a Data for Change survey by Confluent Media and custom business intelligence company called IoT-DOM, with support from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. According to the survey, there is not enough consistent data for people and policy in developing parts of the world, including Ghana. Consultant in international social impact, also founder of IoT-DOM, Brianna Cook, has been, of course, she's called for data to be disintegrated and transparent for all.
Data, essentially, to the smart city is what food is to the body, or what gas is to the car. It makes everything operate efficiently and, if you will, more smartly. So without realistic, timely, and disaggregated data, we don't have the full knowledge and capacity to understand how we can truly expand our cities to reach their ultimate goals. So the Sustainable Development Goals, a lot of these activities that we've set out to achieve by the year 2030. So data essentially is that main driver and should be treated like a commodity within a smart city, just as gas is for transportation and manufacturing.
Well, so speaking about that, of course, the modules that you implement, help us understand the outlook for Ghana.
Yes, definitely. So the outlook for Ghana is very positive from my perspective. As the previous segments introduced in terms of tech, data collection, the population and housing census that's currently undertaken throughout most of the regions currently and throughout the entire nation. The outlook is very large. There's a lot of capacity, and we need to continue to move forward with these goals and with this same action to be able to ensure that we have the data to provide the public services and the information that the population is so much demanding.
Of course, that'll be it for business, but I'll leave you with our international business summary, after which sports comes up next with Gabriel Smith. To stay.
Thank you for staying with us on Joy News Prime. I'm Gary Al Smith, and in the Euro 2020, England have already got themselves to a good start. Now they play the old enemy in Scotland. I was very privileged to speak to former England international Shaun Wright-Phillips, the son of Ian Wright, former Chelsea, former Manchester City player, on all things ahead of this very big game.
Shaun Wright-Phillips, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to speak to you. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing good, thank you. I hope you're doing well, and it's a pleasure to speak to you as well.
Yes, the Euros are here. I mean, we've been looking forward to it for quite a while. With everything that's gone on, we couldn't wait for the return of fans. I mean, while watching on the telly, how do you think the return of fans will affect the players, and what do they do to them?
I think for me, you can see the differences already in not just the performances, but the players' energy levels, considering they've come off the back of like a hard 16 months where it's just been 2 seasons rolled together. And the standard in the Euros in general for me has been outstanding. And that's a testament to the players and the coaches throughout the season and the coaches that have got them in the Euros now. So at the minute, we're seeing a lot of goals, which is always enjoyable for spectators and the fans that have actually travelled to all these destinations to watch the game.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the destinations, for the first time, the Euros is being spread across Europe. For a former professional footballer such as yourself, do you think this is an advantage for the players or not? Because they have to be moving, for some of the teams, obviously not England.
I think it's definitely going to be an advantage for some of the teams. Like, it didn't work for Russia, but they had home advantage in the first game and England had home advantage. So, of course, to have your fans backing you, there's always nothing better than that, especially if it's in some places a full house. It's perfect to come out and you hear the roars of your own supporters. It's going to give you that extra boost and what you need to hopefully get the points in the game.
You played for England, close to 40 appearances, and you scored a couple of goals as well. If you look at this talented English generation, there seems to be none of the "it's coming home" thing around them. Why is that?
I think it's the excitement. I think that the one thing I love about the England squad now is it's a very young squad and they've all got time to grow together. And not only that, they play like the way they play at club level. I think for me, it's so exciting to watch. I'm looking forward to the next game already. And at the minute, it seems like it could be coming home. So if they keep up the hard work, to be honest with you, because they have the attacking potential. If they keep their clean sheets, we're always going to create chances and score goals. And sometimes it might be an ugly win, but that is football. We've watched France, wouldn't say it was an ugly win, but they battled through and they beat Germany 1-0. And if you can keep picking up results and stuff like that for England, we're in a perfect position.
England's next game is against Scotland, the very historical rivalry between the two. Have you ever played against Scotland when you played for England?
Not on the stage like this. It reminds me, I think it was when Paul Gascoigne scored, if I remember correctly. Yeah. That was my vivid memory as a kid growing up, and I'm really excited for the game because for me, Scotland have to come out to try and either get a point or win. So it makes it a more exciting game because England, of course, want to win the game. I can't see England going in it for a draw, but at the same time, they know a draw takes them through. So Scotland are going to have to go for it, really, I think.
Nice one. If you look at the entire Euros, it seems to have come to life. We've seen big players starting to exert themselves on the tournament, which is what you always want. Cristiano has 2, Lukaku has 2, and so on. Which brings me to that question. Everybody says the elite players are going to be tired, but you don't see it. What is keeping them going, Shaun?
I think the things that are keeping them going is the desire and the hunger to be the best in the tournament. I think they don't want to let their country down or their teammates down, so that they find the energy within them, and the professionalism that they have to do that is phenomenal. Like I said, the season, like you said before, has been incredibly hard. It's been tough. Even me, myself, thought the standard wouldn't be that high in this Euros because of the same thing that everybody's saying. But it goes to show, like, once your heart's in it and you're mentally prepared and you physically take care of your body, you can go on to do things that people might not expect you to be able to do.
Outside England, who are your pre-tournament favorites?
I keep saying Belgium because I just love their squad in general and the way they play. But the way France are, they're so stacked in every position. I feel like they could field 2 11s and would most probably combat a lot of people's teams going into it. So it'll be interesting to see. But for me, outside of England, if England don't win it, I would like Belgium to win it.
Belgium, yeah. I mean, they look properly tasty, aren't they? And also, you've got to look at the coaching styles already. It doesn't seem like there are a lot of negative teams, because some of the previews also thought that, the players will be tired and so the coaches will be employing very negative tactics. But you're not seeing that. You're seeing open and expansive football.
But that's something we always want to see, especially in tournaments. You don't want to see negative football. I think the more that it's expansive, the more you're going to see more goals or more chances created, and players that we want to see, like the bigger players, being able to express themselves because there's more space that's created by the other teams trying to attack as well. So it's worked out perfectly for fans, coaches, that they can put their game on the pitch and play. Like I watched Romelu Lukaku play the other day, and I thought he was quiet. But when you get a goal scorer in front of goal like that, he only needs 2 chances. Ronaldo, the same thing. Leading up to the game, he wasn't controlling the game as much as he wants, but you give them sort of players in that elite category chances, they will score goals. And the rest of the players play well, like Mertens play well. And then you watch England and your Foldens and Mounts, everybody played really well. So I love seeing attacking football. I was an attacker, so I really enjoyed watching attacking football. I've watched all the games and I'm watching Wales now.
Now, your family are somebody said, when I interviewed him before this, that England is like a social consciousness, a social organism, the English national team. It represents whatever it is that is culturally trending now. How proud are you, with your background as a Black player, that the team is in one voice in saying that this is what they want to do when it comes to taking the knee? It could have so easily been a divided front.
I think it's great that they're showing their way to fight against this vile thing that's going around where people think it's okay to racially abuse people on the pitch. I think football's a universal sport. It's so cultured. There's so many different cultures playing it around the world. And for me, there is no place for racism on and off the pitch. I just think the people that do that are just ignorant, like that, uneducated people. And most of them are haters because they're not doing anything for themselves in their life. So that's my point of view on it. But the way England now are dealing with taking the knee is delightful. And
Sean Wright Phillips, the full interview will play tomorrow. And you can find it also on our digital media channels at Joy Sports GH on Twitter and Facebook. And then over to Aisha to end the news.
And that's how we wrap the bulletin. My name is Aisha. Many thanks for watching.